Greetings, students, and today we'll be dealing with the lecture 3 in your first unit. And in this, we'll be dealing with your transmission line parameters. Okay, so in the last lecture, we have covered about your system, that is the power system entire structure we have seen. And in today's lecture, we'll be dealing with the transmission line parameters. So, in general, the transmission line parameters are, as you know, it is nothing but the components that is this is generally we use for our electrical circuits, starting with resistance, inductance, and finally capacitance. So in this lecture, we will be dealing with the transmission line parameters with the resistance, inductance, and we will be dealing with the inductance, internal flux linkage and external flux linkage. So we will be seeing uh, these things in today's lecture. So starting with the transmission line parameters, so in general, as I said, there are three parameters. Here you can see. So it is nothing but the resistance. Okay, sorry, total four parameters: resistance, inductance, okay, capacitance. So these three are the main things, followed by the shunt conductance. So this shunt conductance is nothing but the reciprocal of your impedance. Okay, so your impedance is the thing that reduces, okay, your current flow, but your conductance is a quantity which increases your current flow. Okay, so the shunt conductance is caused by leakage current. So here they have given the reason for the shunt conductance, and is this and it is the quantity or the value of the shunt conductance is generally very low. Okay, it is very low, hence we can just neglect it. So as I said previously, for the transmission line parameters, you can take into account your inductance, capacitance, and your shunt, inductance, capacitance, and your resistors. Okay, so these things, three things you can take into your account. Okay, so here the series resistance is the thing which causes the power losses. So you already know the power losses are nothing but the losses which are caused by the I square R. Okay, this is nothing but the I square R losses, and these I square R losses are contributed by the resistance. Okay, so the resistance is the thing which causes the losses, series resistance. Okay, the power transmission capacity of the line is mainly governed by the series inductance. That is, how much the power can be transferred is decided by the series inductance. The shunt capacitance causes the charging current to flow in the line. Okay, so mainly the shunt capacitance will be used for your power factor improvement. Okay, so I have said about this in the previous lecture also. Okay, so we'll be moving to the each parameter starting with the line resistance. Okay, so you already know what is the resistance. So you have studied in your circuit theory itself. It's nothing but the opposition of the conductors, or the opposite of the conductors. It opposes the flow of current. Okay, and here it mainly depends on the resistor value of the transmission line. Okay, so the line resistance value implies the or it depends mainly upon the resistance value of the transmission line. Here the power losses in the conductors is given by I square R. That's what I have already said. So here from this we can calculate the R value, which is nothing but power loss in the conductor divided by I square. That is, you are taking bringing your I square to the denominator. Okay. So the resistance of the conductor is very important in transmission efficiency and economic studies. Why in the sense means these parameter is causes the losses. Okay, resistance is the thing which causes the losses. So you have to take this value in case of some kind of economic studies. Okay. So if you are planning to erect a transmission line means, okay, that based on the distance, the resistance value can be fixed out. Okay. So here the DC resistance of a solid ground conductor at a specified temperature is given by RDC. So here they have given for the DC quantity, it is rho L by A. So rho is nothing but your resistivity parameter, L is the length, and A is the area. So for a single phase two-wire system, the value of resistance is I think is about two times the resistance of the conductor. Yeah. So the value of the resistance in the distributor will be twice that of the resistance of the conductor. So this is taken into account because if in case there's any kind of some short circuit faults, it has to withstand. The distributor has to withstand. So for that purpose, for the single phase, it will be designed with respect to a two times its value. And for the three phase system, the value of the resistance will be three times of the resistance per phase. Okay. So here the conductor resistance is affected by three factors. One is your resistivity. Okay, so here it is given resistivity, length, followed by your area of cross section. Okay. So moving on to the next slide, frequency. Okay. So the frequency, how it affects the resistance. Here you can see when DC flows, okay, the current distributor is uniform. O in the sense means in the DC, the voltage will be constant. Yes. DC, the voltage will be constant. Okay. With respect to time period, this is time period, and this will be your voltage. But in case of your AC, so it gets alternating in nature with respect to your time. Okay. So this is the voltage and this is for your AC. So it will be alternating in nature. Okay. So it alternates for a frequency of 50 hertz. Okay. So here during the flow of AC, the frequency is not uniform over the conductor. The current density is greatest at the surface of the conductor. So the current density refers to the current flow or the current occupying the conductor will be more at the surface. Okay, so that the impact of the current you can feel more at the surface in terms of your AC conductor, but in terms of your DC conductor, what happens is that your distribution will be uniform because it is not alternating in nature. Okay. So next is the spiraling. Since the standard conductor is spiral, each strand is longer than the finished conductor. Okay, so this parameter also affects. And final thing is the temperature. It's very very important. How the temperature affects your resistor value. So here you can see the temperature will be directly proportional to your resistance. Okay, and here T1 and T2 will be the temperature of the respective resistance. Okay. So T refers to the constant temperature. So here R2 will be directly proportional to T plus T2. So that's what with respect to your resistance, and with respect to your inductance. Okay. So the inductance is due to the magnetic field. You already know what is the inductance. Okay. So the inductance is the thing which opposes the change in current. Okay. So in case of any sudden change in current occurs, so the inductor, what it does is it makes the sudden change to be a constant. Okay. So for example, here you can see. So if there is a flow of current, okay. So if the flow of current through the line A to B, there is a flow of current I. Okay. So if there is a sudden switching, okay, if there is a sudden switching, you can take this as a Q. If this is Q is close means there will be enormous amount of current flow. Okay, so for that limiting the current flow. Okay, so here if you are turning this Q on, what happens is that with respect to time period, and this will be your current. Okay, so your current will be, there will be a enormous amount of amplitude current flow. That is, the current amplitude will be increasing very high within a short span. Okay, this is without an inductor. So without L. Okay, so that occurs. So there will be a short, very high amount of current within a short span. But in case if there is a inductor means this change in current will be minimum. Okay, so this is with respect to L. So if you are having an inductor means it will be like this. Okay, I think you're somewhat clear. And moving on, here what they're saying is if it is linear means, so they'll be having this kind of equation. Okay, if it is if the current is sinusoidal means it will be having L into psi by I. So this parameters and these expressions you have already studied in your electromagnetic theory, so I won't be getting deep into it. And you might have also studied about the energy stored in the inductor in your electromagnetic theory. It is half L I square. Okay. So now we will be getting into the inductance of a single conductor. So what will be the inductance in a single conductor will be seen. So here first we can consider, before getting into the practical and practical concept, you have to know about some theoretical concepts. Okay. So for a single phase wire, you already know it has phase and neutral. Okay, there will be phase followed by a neutral. So now what you are going to see is we'll be taking this phase conductor alone. Okay, we'll be taking this phase conductor alone, and we will be finding the inductor inductance value for this single conductor. So that's what you are going to see. So we are going to find the inductance for a single conductor in case of a single phase. Okay. So for this, what we can see is we can consider a conductor which is uniformly distributed. Okay. So here this is an assumption. Okay. But in general practical scenario, if you are seeing means this current will not be uniformly distributed. As I said with respect to the previous resistance value, it will be the current density will be more high at the surface. Okay. So here this is an assumption that you have to take. Okay. The current carrying conductor produces a magnetic field concentric around the conductor. This you already know, which is nothing but your magnetic Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So the same thing is coming out. So here we'll be studying some cases. Okay, what are the cases means magnetic field intensity due to a long current carrying conductor. So that's the main thing you'll be seeing. So in case of a short current carrying conductor, the amount of the effect will not be, the effect will not be having a very high impact, the inductance effect. Okay, in case of a short current carrying conductor. But in case of a long current carrying conductor, the impact will be more. Okay, so that will be seen. So the magnetic field intensity due to current distribution inside the conductor. So here they have taken another assumption. So when X is less than R, so we'll be seeing what is S and what is R. Okay. So this is a, there's one figure, and this figure represents the cross-sectional area or the cross-sectional view. Okay, or the cross-sectional view of a conductor. Okay. So here you can see this R represents the radius of the conductor. I is nothing but the current flowing through the conductor. And here what they will be doing is Ix is the current enclosed at the distance x. So here in general what they will be doing is they will be taking a value x. Okay, and this x is a imaginary part. Okay, and the x is, first they will be finding the inductance value for this x small region, and finally they will be multiplying this x value into the entire radius. Okay, that's how they'll be finding the inductance value. First what you'll be finding the inductance value uh, for this x, and then we'll be multiplying with the r to get the inductance value of the entire conductor. So that's what we'll be doing. Here you can see the ix. So since the current density is same through the conductor, so that's about the first assumption. So here we will be writing the, with respect to your current density formula. So you already know the current density is nothing but the current flowing per unit area. So this is the current flowing, and this is area. Okay, current flowing per unit area contributes to your current density. So this is the formula, and here we are just equating with respect to the x and r. Y in the sense means the current density is uniform. So both the will be of same value, even though the distances of varying. Okay, so we will be getting the first equation. We'll be getting the first equation, and followed from this, we'll be getting the. We'll be rearranging the equation to get the second thing. Okay? So next we'll be getting the Ampere's circuital law. This also has studied in electromagnetic theory, one of the Maxwell's equation. Okay, so from this you can derive one of the Maxwell equation. So Ampere's circuital law. So it is in closed integral of Hx dl equal to Ix. Okay. So that is the electric field intensity within a closed area will be equal to the amount of current flowing through that area. So that's what your Ampere's circuital law defines. Okay. So you will be integrating it, and you will be getting this equation Hx. So Hx is nothing but the magnetic field intensity. Okay. Magnetic field intensity we have got, and the current flowing through the length Ix also we have got. Okay. So now what you have to do is you have to substitute the value of Ix over here. Okay. That is, put substitute equation 2 in your 3. So we will be getting the field intensity, magnetic field intensity as Hx is equal to I into x by the area, that is 2 pi r square. Okay. So if you are solving this, you will be getting this. Okay. You will be substituting it, and you will be squaring it, and this x square and x will be cancelled out. And top of the numerator there will be an x, and down there will be r square. So from this fourth equation, what you can conclude is that the Hx, that is the field intensity, uh, when x is less than r, will be directly proportional to your x value. So when x is less than r means we'll be taking two consideration, that is this x value will be within the radius. So that's what we have seen in the A subdivision. And in the second subdivision, what you'll be seeing is that when your x value is greater than r, that is the x value x point will be lying at the point outside. That is due to the external effect, how the inductance acts will be seen. So again, the only difference is that at the integral part will be different. So you'll be getting with your Ampere's circuital law, and here at the integral part, you'll be putting 2 pi x by 0. So again, here it will be the same equation. This equation 3 and 5 both are the same. So next is the inductance due to internal flux linkage. So we have got the magnetic field intensity. From this magnetic field intensity, we have to derive your inductance value. Okay, so that's what we'll be seeing how we can derive your inductance due to internal flux linkage. So here you can see the diagram again. So here they have taken the x value to be internal. So this x value is in internal condition. Okay. So assuming the uniform, again the assumption what we are taking is the uniform current density through the conductor. So from the previous part, again we will be getting this equation. We are rearranging to get Ix, and the Hx also the same equation. After this, with respect to your intensity, what will be your density here? Intensity is nothing but at a particular point, what will be the value will be seen. Okay, but in terms of your density, how it will be means for a particular area, what will be the value of the quantity will be seen. So that's the difference between your flux density and your flux intensity. Okay. So here they have given dx is equal to mu into hx. So your mu equal to mu naught into mu r, which is nothing their permeability, relative permeability. So for a non-magnetic material, if the material is not a magnetic means, okay, so it will be mu r equal to 1. This is also an assumption, but in general, there will be some magnetic elements in the conductor. Okay. So mu naught is the permeability of free space and value is, so here you are studying your higher secondary part, 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 h per meter. Okay. We have to substitute this mu naught hx. Okay. So hx value you are putting over here, and after this, the differential flux, that is the d phi, change in the flux. Okay. So the change in the flux phi equal to dA. That formula they are using. So here for the phi to find out, so phi equal to b into a. So for this you will be taking the differential. So if you are taking a differential means it becomes d phi x dx for the area x they are saying, and dx into I. Okay. So this is what we'll be getting equation 2. Again, we'll be getting into the uniform current density. So only the fraction of the total current is linked to your, so sigma refers to your flux linkage. Okay, so now we are going to find how much flux is linked at the distance x. Okay, flux linkage. So moving on, they have given the formula for your flux linkage. So after getting the flux linkage, to find your total internal flux, you have to integrate it with respect to your dx. Okay. So so here you can see it. So the find the entire flux linkage. So you have to integrate with respect to r. So that's what they are doing here. So they have given here 0 r. Okay. So if you are integrating, this is a constant part, you will be taking it out, and x cube is there. So if you are integrating x cube means you will be getting x power 4 by 4. So it will be 0 to r. Okay. And now we'll be substituting the r value, so you'll be getting r power 4 by r power 4. It gets cancelled out, and you'll be getting the mu naught I by 8 pi. So this is for the flux linkage for the entire conductor. That is the phi value. We have got the phi value for the entire conductor. And now we have to find the inductance. Okay, so the inductance value will be, the formula is L equal to the flux linkage by the current flow. Okay, so it will be Li sigma by I. So it will be mu naught by 8 pi. So I, so the I gets cancelled out. So this is the substituting the value of if you're cancelling out means you'll be getting half into 10 power minus 7 or 0.5 into 10 power minus 7 h per meter. கீழே So we'll be getting 0.5 into 10 power minus 7 Henry per meter. Okay. So moving on, so we'll be getting into inductance due to your external flux linkage. Okay. So with this, this is the last part, and with this, you can conclude it. So the inductance due to external flux linkage due to the flux line which are outside of the conductors. Okay, so this is due to the outside of the conductors, and here Hx external to the conductor means the x value will be higher than that of the r. Okay, x value will be higher than that of the r. So what happens is that uh, so the current at the radius X encircles the entire current, so Ix you can take it as I. Okay, that is, the current flow will not be there if we, even if it is outside of the conductor. So that's what the assumption here it is. Ix the outside of the, because the X value is outside, the X value is outside the conductor, but the current flow will be only up to your within your conductor. So you can take Ix to be I. Okay, so you can substitute in a Bx, the same thing will be again following out. So the flux linkage will be finding. Okay, and again the change in flux linkage, and here the variation will be coming over here. So it is R1 is integrated to D, and here, so D is nothing but your diameter. Okay, so you'll be getting the value as 2 into 10 power minus 7 I ln of d1 by r1. Okay, and this I gets cancelled out when you are finding out your inductance. So finally the inductance value is 2 into 10 power minus 7 ln of d by r1. Okay, here you can see. Okay, so from this, the possible questions what you can expect is, give the expression of resistance. They may be asking us a former question. Hence, with respect to your internal and external switches, they will be asking us a criteria. So this is the possibility you can expect. Okay, and in the next class, we will be dealing with your conductors. Okay, and how the inductance value affects the conductors will be seen in your next upcoming lecture. Okay, so with this I will complete it. So thank you.